For a long time now, I planned on packing my bike and heading down the coast to explore the Blue Mountains. Today, I take on that adventure. I had 8 days to get there and back, with 3,000 kilometers of riding to be done. The forecast was looking pretty questionable, so I knew there would be highs, and there would be lows. Join me as I take on my first solo adventure with the mighty Africa Twin. The plan was simple. Day 1, get as far south as possible and camp at the Barrington Tops. Day 2, cruise down Putty Road, over the Blue Mountains into Lithgow, find a place to camp. From there, the adventure was on. The main goals were to see the Garden of Stones, Kanangra Walls, and do the Bridle Track, and everything else was a bonus. From there, all I had to do was get back to Brisbane to make sure I was back for work in time. As I said, the plan was to get to Barrington Tops. I didn't make it to Barrington Tops last night because it got dark pretty quickly. Well, it's running a bit late than I expected. But I got to see the famous blue tree owl vulture. And yeah, it's a little foggy, chilly. But yeah, let's see what happens. The day before, I ran out of daylight quicker than I expected. It got very cold and visibility had deteriorated. I'm not a big fan of riding at night, even in the best of conditions, and definitely didn't want to go toe-to-toe with Skippy. Also, my main goal of taking the inland road was to enjoy the views on the north side of Barrington Tops. Fortunately, the rain that had been forecast also came true, but after a quick bite to eat, I hit the road and enjoyed the ride the best I could. As I got closer to Barrington Tops, I was hopeful the weather would clear and I could capture some sweet drone shots. Unfortunately, the higher I went up the mountain, the worse the weather got. By the time I got off the blacktop, it started to rain and I couldn't see a thing. Tell you what, I love the feeling of having a whole place to yourself. In a shitty weather, it's all mine. It is. There she is, on and all in her glory. Yes. Once I got to the other side of Barrington, the weather had cleared up for a brief moment, so I decided to sneak in some average drone shots. As I cruised down the mountain, I saw an eagle have a go at some roos. The sun finally decided to peek its head through the clouds, and it was such an amazing sight to see. The weather was looking good, and I was back on the tarmac. pulled into KFC for some Dirty Bird and headed to one of my all-time favourite campsites. Just had to cut through Buckolbin State Forest. The fire trails are well maintained and don't pose as much of a challenge. The last track up to the lookup isn't too bad, nothing a standard four-wheel drive or adventure bike can't handle. Just watch out for the bog holes unless you don't mind getting a little muddy. After a long day on the bike through the cold rain, it was awesome to kick back and enjoy a drink with this amazing view. And just trusty bottle of Cab Sauv. I was treated with this beautiful full moon that lit up the whole night sky like nothing I'd ever seen before. I reflected on the day that I'd just experienced and was full of excitement for the next few days to come. The sun was shining and I was full of beans. It looked like the weather was finally on my side and I was excited to hit Putty Road. I was essentially a full day behind on my initial plans. Today the plan was to finally hit Putty Road, find a nice spot to have a swim, cruise over the Blue Mountains into Lithgow. From there, go into the Garden of Stones and enjoy the view. I just had to dodge the bog holes and find my way out. I gave the local farmer a wave and headed to the nearest caffeine dispensary. After a coffee and a brekkie burrito, I was on my way. Unfortunately, I ran into issues with my GoPro not charging, couldn't work it out, and I didn't want to waste the morning sorting it out. So I just enjoyed the ride down Putty Road and stopped to take this one video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I found this awesome spot in Wallaby National Park and stopped to soak in the good weather. Unfortunately, you can't pull right up, even though I see that someone has sneaked in with a motorbike through there. Can't deny it. But I'm going to play by the rules and take it easy and, I don't know, not get in trouble. Yeah, after 2 days riding, pretty keen for a quick dip and a fresh pair of jocks. Gonna jump down there and, yeah, enjoy the icy cold water. Not a bad little spot at all to dip in. We've got some duckies to swim with. After a chilly dip in the water, I cracked out the portable kitchen. And there you go, the lunch of champions. Cappuccini and protein bar. Protein bar? Unfortunately, this was where my day turned a little south. After a beautiful day in the sun, as I went over the Blue Mountains, the weather started to deteriorate. It was cold and wet all the way over the mountains into Lithgow, and as I went into the Gardenstone State Forest, the main road had turned to slush, was very slippery, it was consistently raining and very foggy. I knew if I stayed the night there that all my gear was going to get wet, I was going to be cold, and there was no way I was going to have a fire or enjoy myself. So I decided to head more inland towards Bathurst in hopes that if I got away from the mountaintop, it wouldn't be raining and be as miserable. So tonight's camp isn't as pretty as last night's. I'm pretty much just on the side of a trail in the state forest. Here's the setup. It's raining a little bit, sprinkling. Got plenty of wood, luckily. Africa Twin's nice and safe, but yeah, no beautiful views. Just truly in the middle of nowhere. But hopefully the food's good. And I've made it. I packed up nice and early to make my way to Bathurst. Of course, when in the area you have to join the local hoons for a quick lap around Mount Panorama. With the weather looking not so good up the mountains, I decided to beeline it to the famous Bridle Track. The track itself isn't challenging, however, the road is narrow and has a steep drop-off without any guardrails to stop you. The scenery along the track is amazing and 100% worth checking out. I found an awesome spot to camp along the river, but I decided to try and get the primo spot a little further up. I hadn't taken my bike into the sand yet, and knew it was going to be a challenge. After weighing up my options, I decided to give it a go. As soon as I hit the sand, the traction control kicked in and decided to bog the bike down. Well, I made it. I'm now stuck in this sand here. I'm not too sure why, but the traction control just kicks in straight away. But hey, at least I don't need to move it till tomorrow morning. I managed to get a little bit further, just because I thought I didn't want it to start raining and then the sand becomes even crazier. But I've given up now because at least I got myself a nice camp chair for tonight next to the fire. So yeah, let's deal with it in the morning. After it raining for the last 3 days on and off, it's bloody good just to air out everything. including the socks, thermals, towel. Gotta get the bloody what's it called, tarp thing for the hammock, air that out. Also, if you've ever wondered what these bars are for, it's specifically for drying out your jocks. That's a pro tip right there. I didn't film it this morning because it was bloody, I was trying to beat the rain this morning, but bloody everything got wet. It was really not a, there we go, even better. Got a nice pool of water in the bottom of the bag, but at least all the tent stuff should dry out pretty quickly. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, again, so glad the sun is out. Oh man, I don't know what I'd do if it was still raining. I'd probably have to just go get in a motel room or something. But geez, yeah, after the last few days, I cannot express how much this is paradise. There you go. Just gonna plonk this on top of his log, and yeah, hopefully that'll drip out and dry out nicely, but we'll see. If you've ever wondered about hammock camping and if it's worth it, well, you don't always get the best spots, but when you do get the best spot, oh boy, is it worth it. It's like, shit man, does it get much better than that? Another beautiful morning, a foggy start to the day. It seems to be pretty consistent in these areas. The beauty is I haven't seen anyone inside while camping. I think I saw about 5 people, even if that, drive by yesterday. No, probably about 3, I think. And I saw one at the beginning in a caravan. And yeah, it's just, I'm amazed at how quiet it is. Even though it isn't school holidays or the weekend or anything, it's just, yeah, getting this place to yourself is an absolute treat. I'm treating myself to my cooked breakfast and cappuccino before I pull the big Africa Twin out of the sand, because I feel like I'm going to need it. And also got about half an hour left on the Bridle Track before hit the tarmac back to Garden of Stones, I think it is. I did realise why you meant to stir it and not shake it. I've been shaking it because I thought that was pretty smart, but I lost half of my breakfast. So yeah, don't shake it. Alright, taking all the bags off, put them over there. I'm gonna try and use my weight to pull it out and up onto the grass here. Hopefully I should be able to get traction and up and out, and then yeah, keep the momentum, power out. Thinking I'm going to turn traction control off and just see how that goes. I'm not really sure exactly what the right technique is, but I'm hoping that is the right way to do it. Well, it's going to be more fun dragging it all the way out there. Anyway, let's go. Before anyone feels the need to tell me I did this wrong, I definitely have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm all about giving it a go and figuring it out along the way. This is the exact moment I realised I had stuffed up. Because I took the side bags off the bike, it was now completely flat on its side, not allowing me to get any leverage. The crash bars were now fighting against me, as they had buried into the sand and holding the bike down. As I tried to lift the bike, it would slide, and I couldn't get any grip with my boots. I tried putting logs under the tyres and digging around the bike, but it still wasn't enough. Within minutes, I was completely exhausted. All the doubts started running through my head. I'm way in over my head, I should have gotten a 300 rally, and I should have just stayed at home. But I knew, no matter what, I was going to get this heavy beast out of the sand and I was going to complete my adventure. Ah, shit, I finally got it up. Jeez, I thought I was never going to do it. What I ended up doing was every little bit that I got it up, I just shoved a log and a stick under just to help me, because that was the thing, I just couldn't get the leverage to pull it up. Stuck a log under there so the bike wouldn't keep pushing to the side. So all I know is that I'm absolutely exhausted and there's no way I can do that a second time. So I think I'm gonna dig out a little rut and hopefully maybe even stick some sticks under there to guide me along. And then even then I've still got to cross the big stretch. To get stuck at all. Come on, don't stop now. Yes. Oh, the feeling of freedom. Oh, now, Jesus Christ. Oh, what a beautiful place. But my God, I've endured. I have endured, man. Jeez. Whew. Oh, God. Never do that again. Or if the sand or whatever was worse yesterday, I feel like you can see where the traction control kicked in. But I feel like the way is, keeping it light on the back. You know, like keeping your weight off the bike if you can, and not spinning it up, because you can see the difference between how I went yesterday where it bogged down and then this morning. But I don't know if that's just because it dried up overnight or what, but it felt like night and day compared to what I did yesterday. The most upsetting thing about dragging my bike out is that I got the bark busters were rubbing up against my beautiful tank. You know, everything I tried to do to save it with the crash bars and everything. Ironically, it's the bark busters I got it. So I think tonight at camp I'll probably play around to see if I can stop that from happening. But that is so upsetting. Oh well, that's the point of an adventure bike. You're gonna get scratches on it, no matter what you do. I was trying to figure out why the crash bars were rubbing, but then I realised my bars have fully slanted down for whatever reason when I was dragging it. So yeah, that's why. I gotta undo these bolts and rotate it up before I get out of here now. I guess I'll use this as a good moment to show what tools I brought. So obviously some trusty zip ties, a few different size spanners. I pretty much spent time just figuring out what I needed spanner wise before I brought the whole kit. I got a little multi-tool thing, and then I've got all the all the screwdrivers that you can ever want in there, plus torques and all that stuff. Socket for the rear axle and breaker bar. The only thing I didn't check was what axle size I need for the front, but I'm just going to deal with that if I actually have to, for whatever reason, take the front off. But yeah, should keep me out of trouble.
Well, I've gone and done it again time. That's disappointing. I don't know why that's closed. Looks like it'd have some beautiful views though.
My plan for the day was to head to the Garden of Stones National Park, explore the area and see where I end up. And just my luck, the national parks are mostly closed due to aerial baiting in the area. I wasn't 100% sure how much the area was closed, so I went straight to my backup option, seeing the Kanangra Walls lookout. I knew if I didn't see it this afternoon, the view would be too foggy in the morning, so now it was a race against the sun. Last night's camp wasn't actually too bad after all. I got a nice little sweet spot for the hammock in the corner there, and had a little fire pit right next to this picnic table, which usually I don't seek out these luxuries, but it was a treat last night just to be able to sit on the picnic table and have a huge fire. So yeah, it was quite good. And if you can't tell, it is freezing cold at the moment. I am wearing everything I can to keep warm because the wind is howling. Yeah, Africa Twin still looking bloody gorgeous. At this point in the trip, I was unsure what to do. The weather was freezing cold, windy, and starting to rain. My body was feeling sore after yesterday's shenanigans, and most of the local trails were closed. It seemed like the best option was to start my trip home north in hopes of better weather. As I crossed over the Blue Mountains, the weather became worse and worse. The wind was so strong it was blowing my bike side to side, and the rain was relentless. One of my main goals for the trip was to camp every night. I really wanted to get the off-grid experience while in the Blue Mountains. However, my body was screaming for a rest, a hot shower, a hot meal, and a comfy bed. I located a cheap hotel up the coast in a beautiful spot, but I was running out of daylight, so I needed to get a move on. I finally hit Sydney and started moving at a good pace up the highway. With the thought of a fat steak, a cold beer, I was starting to feel quite excited. Not a cloud in the sky. With the sight of clear blue skies and feeling well rested, I had the itch for one last adventure before making it home. I checked out the local scenery and soaked up some sun. There was a track onto the beach for four-wheel drives to drive up and down the beach. I assumed you could take a bike on there, but I wasn't too keen to get stuck in the sand again. I decided I'll save that adventure for next time, as I had about 5 hours of riding ahead of me and needed to keep moving north. Once I got across on the ferry, I just had to pump out the highway to Kempsey. From there, smash some awesome twisties through the mountains to George's Junction. About half of it is a gravel road, which isn't too bad at all. As I got closer, there were signs of the road being closed and I thought it was going to be stitched up again. But I rode on to see what the go was, and lucky enough, it was all open. The road wasn't in great condition, so I was taking it very easy and fairly slowly, so I dragged out the afternoon for a while. Once I got there, I was greeted by some cows and an awesome view. It was the final day of my trip and by far the coldest morning yet. Everything was soaking wet from the dew, but I was in good spirits as I would be home that afternoon. Although I had a big ride ahead of me, I made myself a coffee and stuck around to watch the sunrise which lit up the river. It was a magical moment as I watched the birds dry their wings out with the fog drifting on the top of the water.
Well, it is pretty much the end of the adventure. I've got 5 hours of riding to get home. It's gonna be pretty boring, just hitting 100 I think most of the way. But yeah, still freezing cold, at least the sun's shining. It's been bloody epic. Yeah, until next time.
And there it is, 3,000 kilometers of riding just ticked over as I pulled into the garage. And I think that's 40 and a half hours of riding, 140 litres of fuel, and yeah, average speed of 74 kilometers an hour.